Alright everybody, welcome back. Yeah, I just had to do this next. The best plane of the update, the Eurofighter Typhoon. And especially for Germany, this is a massive deal. There's a lot of things that play into this being the best, but one of the biggest things is going to be its flight model. We can talk about this with a lot more certainty now than we could, with the dev server, even though there have already been changes. So this footage you're seeing in the background is actually from the first day of live server. Today, as of time of recording, Gaijin did buff its high-speed energy retention, so it should actually be a little bit better than what you're seeing in the background. When I get to the British Eurofighter later, that will be current flight model. But anyways, going back to that flight performance, what made the F-15C and then later the F-15E so meta? The big thing was, of course, their ability to get to high altitude quickly and perform well at those altitudes as well. If you get high and fast quicker than everyone else, that gives you the ability to fire your missiles sooner and give them higher speed and energy while you're at it. This lets you catch enemies by surprise and puts you on the offensive as well. I actually did a drag race between the F-15I and the Eurofighter, which I just sped up, for brevity's sake here, to see which one would get up to 10,000 meters quicker. I gave both 6 AMRAAMs, 2 Sidewinders, and 20 minutes of fuel, then just accelerated until I hit Mach 0.8 and pitched them both up to 30 degrees. Now, the F-15I did make it to 10,000 meters quicker. I think it's because of that better low-speed acceleration that it had. If you're paying close attention, though, the Eurofighter is already going faster than the F-15, though, while just being barely behind in climb. It's like a 500-meter difference, which is almost nothing, and honestly, I would rather have that extra speed to give the missile more energy. It just really books it overall. It almost reminds me of the old pre-nerfed F-15E. You'll be able to run down most jets at top tier at pretty much any altitude, especially the higher altitudes. Like, look at this F-15C in front of me. He was flying straight for a while before this, and I'm just closing the gap, no problem. I'm going 1.7 Mach at 5 kilometers. The only thing is that it does still pull very hard at these speeds, so it can be harder to hold on to your energy. The change last night did help with this, and honestly, I have never really felt an issue with it, period. Because the thing is still so stupidly fast that I can just get all the speed back immediately, really. I did, however, have to start being careful because the thing pulls so hard that even at Mach 1.6, I was pulling 14 Gs and I ripped my wings off. But it is very easy to avoid. That was the only time I managed to rip this thing, and it was just because I held 14 Gs for 4 seconds. The plane is probably sounding really good already. I mean, look at how fast it is and how good it is at BVR. But what if I told you it is also simultaneously the best aircraft in the game for a 1 versus 1 dogfight as well? This doesn't really happen anymore because everybody just dies before the merge to radar missiles, but if you do get pulled into a dogfight, well, there you go. When it comes to BVR, the only real issue that the Eurofighter has right now is that its radar does not feel good, at all. The radar is still very much not finished. It honestly kind of feels like it has that Sea Harrier radar from Dev. Although they did go ahead and make one change today, they fixed its TWS a little bit so it's not as jank as it was. I would expect this to get a lot of changes, and honestly, the plane is just so good that if you ask me, it makes up for those radar issues, just regardless. The only other thing I've heard about is the radar switching into IRST. I haven't really had that happen to me personally. But if it does, it can just prevent you from firing your radar missiles altogether, which can get you killed. Speaking of radar missiles, you gain access to the AMRAAM-B, which is identical to the AMRAAM-A. Now, if you ask me, this is the best radar missile at top tier. It doesn't have a specialty, like say, for example, the Miko with a thrust vectoring high-off foresight capability, but it just does everything well. It has good acceleration, good agility, and some of the best range you're going to get out of one of these medium-range air-to-air missiles. They also pair very well with the speed and high altitude performance you get out of the Eurofighter. You could run 4 always with any loadout on your belly, and with the other 2 it just depends on your preference. Gaijin added the twin IR missile launchers on those outer AMRAAM pylons, so you can bring either 6 AMRAAMs and 2 Sidewinders for a load of 8 missiles, which is the default for top tier. This is, if you ask me, the meta loadout, what I would very much recommend doing. Almost all of your kills are going to be coming from the radar missiles, and then you might get every once in a while someone that gets within visual range and you can go ahead and fire a Sidewinder at them. Alternatively, you can bring the double Sidewinder launchers on the wings, and that gives you up to 10 missiles, 6 Sidewinders and 4 AMRAAMs. This is still totally fine. You can actually see me running in the background right now on the British Eurofighter, but personally I've not had a situation where I've gotten to use more than maybe 2 or 3 Sidewinders. And 9 times out of 10, you're just going to be better served by the extra AMRAAMs. I am specifically talking for AirRB here. If you play Sim, I could maybe see this being useful, because you are going to be loitering a lot more. There's also no missile markers in Sim, so the AIM-9M or the M9LI, which we'll get to here in a second, is very good. It's just basically a stealth missile. But in ARB, I just fired off 3 of my AMRAAMs, and I'm already down to 1. Going back to the Sidewinders for a second, that is where one of the other differences, and I say differences, between the planes comes in. Because the Italians and the British get access to the AIM-9M, and the Germans get access to the AIM-9LI-1. We've already seen the AIM-9LI on the F4F so the AIM-9LI-1 gains a smokeless motor as well. So essentially what Gaijin has done is give every Eurofighter the AIM-9M. If you haven't used these before, these are very standard top-tier IR missiles. They don't have the insane close-range performance that something like an R-73 or Magic 2 would do, but they're pretty agile, they have good range, and then they use what's called suspension IRCCM. Basically, if they see flares, they turn themselves off for a second and just keep guiding based on where they think the target is going to be going. This is great at longer range shots, if you're diving on somebody, for example, and especially side aspect, but it can be very easy to spoof, for a skilled player. One of the other differences between the Eurofighters is probably part of the reason why I'm so easily slamming this F-15E right here, and that's the fact that the British and Italian Eurofighters also gain access to what's called the Pirate IRST system. The German one does not. Now, right now, if you are experiencing that IRST switching bug, this may actually be a detriment, but once that is fixed, long term, these are going to be better than the German ones purely because of this. This is by far the best IRST system in the game right now, and it's not even close to being finished yet. Flame 2512 has done several bug reports on different parts of the system, but one of the big ones is going to be its range. Currently, I did some testing. It maxed out at around 30 kilometers, which lines up on the little radar display as well. Once it gets fixed, it should have at least double that range. Gaijin actually confirmed it will get a TWS mode in the future, which is pretty cool. And there's also another bug report out to give it the ability to fire AMRAAMs while in IRST. I don't know how long it's going to take for any of these to be implemented, or if some of them will, but even as it stands, it is still an amazing IRST system. If you're looking to use this in, say, for example, Sim, it'd be a great combo to go along with the AIM-9Ms. And also, you get a camera as well because of the Pirate system. So in theory, you could actually lock up a plane with your IRST, switch to your camera to take a look at it and see, what it is, and engage it with AIM-9Ms without once triggering its RWR. I don't play much Sim, but that sounds really good to me. And it's not even just great in Air RB, it also has some amazing cast loadouts as well. Unfortunately, you don't get any fire and forget weapons. However, you do get access to either Paveway 4s, which are the really good, GPS, inertial navigation, and laser ones, and also up to 18 Brimstones. Now, if you watch my dev server video, you'll remember that I said that the Brimstones were kind of underwhelming, and that's because I was going off of the, the Tornado experience with them. I would like to fully retract that statement, and it comes from a couple things. First of all, this is a much better platform. I didn't really think about it at the time, but just being on a plane that is not the Tornado is already a massive buff in and of itself. You have so much more energy and so much more ability to actually use these in a meaningful manner. That's not even talking about another change that Gaijin made that works very well with a trick that I learned from this video by KaiTG on YouTube. If you haven't seen it already, he explains it better than I'm probably about to. Feel free to go check it out. But essentially, what you can do is you can fire the Brimstones without your laser being active, just on a point of interest. In this case, I did it just by, in third person pressing on the ground where I wanted to, but Gaijin went ahead and added a feature this update where you can go into the map and press this button right here and click anywhere on the map. And by the way, they also let you now use the tank map in air as well. So you can go into the tank map, click your point of interest on the enemy spawn, and then fire from, 15 kilometers away and let it guide in. And the entire time is going to be telling you in your top left corner, the Brimstone is, 30 seconds away from impact. Then when it gets to 5 or 6 seconds away from impact, you pop back up, go into your camera sight, turn on your laser, and boom, you're good to go. You will have to turn off the laser turning on automatically in your settings, but once you do this, if you're not playing aggressively like I'm doing right here, essentially you can sit outside of SAM range, just period, just totally. Just sit out there, fire your missile, turn back around and head back towards your airfield, then once it gets close, turn back towards the battle and lock whatever you want to target. And you can just sit there. Even if you're not using the map, I'm sitting here and I'm just clicking on the ground in third person. I am 9.5 kilometers away. Almost no SAMs can reach out this far and actually hit a target. And my Brimstone is about to hit, so I just go into my sight and I lock up whatever I want to shoot. Now, is this as meta as, the Su-34, for example, with its 6 Ks 38 MTs that it can just ripple off and kill stuff with? No. Is it still really good and easy to use in and of itself? Yes. German players, rejoice. You now actually have some CAS at top tier. In any case, I hope you enjoyed the video. Let me know in the comments down below if you did, and I think I might cover one of the TIE jets next. What do y'all think? I'll catch y'all next time, so peace, y'all.